friend of the show. I've known Adam Mockler for years now. He's a very, very intelligent,
smart kid,
young man who's a part of MeidasTouch. And I started interviewing Adam Mockler way before MeidasTouch got him. And I knew this young man was going to be very successful, and boy, is he ever. He did a great job again on the Abby Phillips show last night. Now, he was debating one of the MAGA clowns that was on the panel. There were two of them. One of them's Ben Ferguson, who is just an absolute right-wing imbecile. I mean, I can't believe I'm even going to say this, but I think he's even worse than Scott Jennings.
Wow.
And
Scott Jennings is pretty bad.
Scott Jennings is pretty bad. I think Ben Ferguson is actually worse. Now, I don't know if you guys got a chance to see my friend on CNN last night. He's going to join us on the show next week to talk a little bit about this. But so Adam Mockler's trying to make the case that, because, you know, Ferguson's saying that, listen, the Trump administration, they're going to investigate anybody if they do any wrongdoing. And they were talking a little bit about how Hunter Biden was investigated under Biden's DOJ. And Adam Mockler asked Ben Ferguson a very fair question, which I think any reasonable person that's not biased would be able to answer. Have a listen to this.
What a question.
100%. So this is not a surprise that we're like sitting here.
Hunter Biden was being investigated during Biden's term. Do you think Don Jr. would ever be investigated by Pam Bondi?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Wait, hold on. If he did a crime, I think, yeah.
No, he would not.
By the way,
Donald Trump Jr.
The Biden crime family.
You know that's not true.
Donald Trump Jr.
Wait, let's be clear.
Yes.
Let's be clear about Hunter Biden and what Hunter Biden did. If
that wasn't the question.
Sitting on the board of Burisma right now
Pam Bondi wouldn't do
and was taking massive amounts of money, I have no doubt. Again, I actually think that
Hold on one second. It's just too many people talking at one time. Make your comments so we can actually hear it.
Yeah, if you had Don Jr. painting paintings and selling them for six figures, but by the way, nobody else right now. I absolutely believe there would be an investigation because honestly, I don't think that my side is okay to do things like that.
Tom Homan was found taking $50,000 bribes. Where's the investigation? Will you call for an investigation on Tom Homan?
So now he's just immediately convicted by you.
That's a little different. No, I'm saying
thank you. I think you're being intellectually honest on that. That is the biggest BS.
But I don't think there's any.
So let me just be very clear here. Ben Ferguson is an imbecile. Adam Mockler puts him in a corner and asks a very fair question, and the easy answer would be no. If Don Jr. did anything wrong or committed any crimes, there's no chance that Donald Trump's DOJ and Pam Bondi would go after Don Jr. Now, obviously, unless you're a disingenuous prick and a liar like Ben Ferguson, you will answer that question honestly. And why did Adam Mockler ask that question? Because again, Ferguson was talking about Hunter Biden and the paintings and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is in this crypto scandal, his family making billions of dollars. You cannot make this stuff up. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And he also asked him about if he's going to investigate who took the $50,000?
Tom Homan?
Yeah, Tom Homan.
Yeah.
And he asked him that straight out, and all he did was try to push back and say, you know, I couldn't even tell what they were saying because Abby Phillip always loses control of the people she's interviewing. But I say, you know, let release the Tom Homan files. That's what I say.
Well, again, there is a video out there of Tom Homan accepting a $50,000 bribe. The reason why they were investigating him to begin with is because they had evidence that he was accepting bribes and he was breaking the law. Tom Homan goes on national television and says, I didn't break any laws. Well, yeah, because the DOJ, they didn't press charges against you. And the reason why they didn't do that, I think, might have a little bit to do with Donald Trump. But that's why. So if you claim you did nothing wrong and you didn't break the law, release the tape. And then Adam Mockler makes such a wonderful point because, again, the Ben Ferguson idiots on the right are blaming the left for what happened to Charlie Kirk. But when in reality, it's not transgenders that are killing all these innocent people. It's not immigrants, legal or not, that are mass shooters in this country. The majority of them are young, white males. And I thought Adam Mockler yesterday did such a good job in making that point. Have a listen to this.
Condemn him.
You know, every time one of these tragic every time one of these tragic shootings happens, everybody's at each other's throats about which side did it, but we're missing a broader pattern in America. This was another young white dude who's in his 20s. We have seen this pattern accelerating over the past decade. The same day Charlie Kirk was shot, the same exact time, there was a neo-Nazi who shot up a school in Colorado. We can look at the acceleration of the radicalization of young men through a few frameworks. There's the COVID pandemic, which had people isolated, had a bubble around themselves, and a lot of young men failed to pull that bubble down and got sucked down these algorithms. I've seen it happen to my close friends. They get sucked down these algorithms. We have foreign actors trying to sow chaos in America, sow division. How much does Putin salivate when he sees us at each other's throats? Then we have domestic actors, people like Elon Musk, riling it up. So all of these factors, wait, hold up, Ben. All of these factors come together to create this pattern that we see of young men in my age range committing these shootings. And if you want to sit here and go back and forth, tit for tat, I can say Dylan Roof, Robert Bowers, John Earnest, none of these were black people, none of these were trans people, none of these were even Democrats. These were neo-Nazis who had things carved into their guns. You can sit here and muddy the waters, but you are just lying.
I just don't want innocent people to die. Sue me for that.
Then maybe tell Trump to tone down his rhetoric.
If you think this is exactly, you literally just went your entire argument. So Abby, let me go back to the
Can I make something that might be a little more controversial than that?
Hold on a second.
Sure, go ahead.
This is the part that should not be this hard.
He says he hates his enemies.
Hold on, Adam.
Who says he hates his enemies?
That is true. He did say he hates his enemies. Again, I repeat one more time. Some of the largest mass casualty events from gun violence have happened from white men. In most cases, not all. They're young white men, as young as 18, into their 20s, and then we had a man that was much older than that, a white man, who killed over 61 people in Las Vegas. These are not, the majority of these people are not transgenders, a fraction of these shootings. And listen, one mass shooting is one too many. One innocent person dying is one too many. The reason why I'm bringing this up, and the reason why Adam Mockler brought that up on CNN last night, is because MAGA Republicans are not only saying it's the left, and it's all the left's rhetoric, and the left is responsible for this, but I could name you a plethora of mass shootings that have happened from young white men that are Donald Trump supporters. Now, I don't know exactly the political affiliation of what this 22-year-old nutcase was or is that took the life of Charlie Kirk. But what we do know is that he came from a very conservative family that loved their guns. I don't know how he got radicalized. I would imagine it probably was online. We don't have the details of if and when he was radicalized and why. But what we do know is that it wasn't a transgender, it wasn't a minority, it wasn't an undocumented immigrant.
And it didn't have to be radicalized, Brian. Why did he have to be radicalized? He was a person who was out of his mind, who had enough, who snapped, who looked at Charlie Kirk in a way that he thought he needed. He had homicide on his mind, and he even admitted that he knew Charlie Kirk was coming into the area. Now, I said weeks ago, sometimes that's just enough for someone, knowing that someone important, someone that has a lot of attention, is coming into your area, and here's your opportunity. Okay, so he was demented. He was out of his mind. Why does it have to be he was radicalized online? I just don't see the connection.
Completely agree. And then just to make things a little bit better here for a moment, as far as joking, in a joking fashion, I will say that Adam Mockler put a good exclamation point on what Trump has done with these portraits. And Adam Mockler made a very funny statement that I think is kind of being hashtagged on social media, what the next Democrat candidate should do with these Donald Trump portraits. I find it to be actually very funny, and I agree with it. Have a listen to this.
Today, he had a 4-hour work day.
Let me just tell you,
his own team said,
I will only vote for the Democratic candidate in 2028 that removes Trump's presidential portraits and replaces them with photos of him and Epstein. So many photos of him and Epstein. More photos than me and my own grandparents, I feel like. It's just Trump
I'm
and
still
Epstein
looking forward to the auto pin, responding to the outrage over the auto pin. I'm excited about it. I think everyone has to
listen to Kimmel and just take the joke.
I agree. Take the joke. So, again, and Adam Mockler does this every single time. He just destroys this MAGA panel. And he did it again last night, and I commend him for it, and Adam Mockler is going to join us on the show next week. Let me be very clear on this. Ben Ferguson is a right-wing MAGA buffoon. Ben Ferguson is a liar. Ben Ferguson shouldn't be on these panels because he's a complete and utter imbecile.